Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about the concept of being a DL or down low man. Now, this is something that has really been on my mind lately because lately I have been feeling like, at the very least in the black community, most men are gay. I am having a hard time believing that most of these men are actually straight. I mean, there is so much hostility towards women. It's ridiculous. And even when it's not outright hostility, the cheating that goes on, and then, you know, it's not even a woman that the man is cheating on his girl with. The high HIV rates in at least black women, statistically that I saw, it's just like, come on. Listen, if you're a man and you like under other men, if that's what you like, that's what you like. I don't understand why we need to be secretive about it. Because here's the thing, I understand that there's this notion or whatever you want to call it about, um I guess it's maybe less so in the like decade that we're in now, but I know that there is a stigma attached with, not being straight, especially in the black community, especially when it comes to relating it to religion, right? Because that's a whole can of worms. Like, a lot of people are on the thing of, if you believe in God, then you can't be gay and it's wrong. And there are a lot of people who still feel like that. And so, a lot of people want to give the impression that they're straight. But my thing is this, especially if it's a religious thing, right? If the thought is that, oh, I can't be homosexual because God says it's wrong, so I'm going to say that I'm straight. Listen, saying you're straight and actually being straight are two different things. I don't care if you're not parading around the fact that you like men. If you are engaging with men, whether it be sexually or just like kissing, whatever, any kind of non platonic intimacy with a man, as a man, you're doing something gay. You can hide it from the rest of the world, but if you're religious and you believe in God, God still sees that, even if the rest of the world doesn't. So if your excuse is because God wouldn't like it, God still sees it if that's something that you're doing. And even if you're not physically doing it, even if it's just something that you're watching, listen, you are what you are and you like what you like. Trying to hide it, at least if it's a religious thing, pointless. Pointless. Now, if we go outside of the religious aspect, right, and we just look at this purely from a societal standpoint, and even though, like I said, the world has been more accepting and open, there is this thing of, just still being straight, right? Especially, like I said, in the black community, there's this emphasis on masculinity and, being straight and everything like that. And so it's like, you have to be straight, you have to be straight. Now, this goes into my whole thoughts. I can't remember, I think I've talked about it on here before, about how I feel like men in general, and this includes definitely all groups of men, not just the black community. I do feel that, largely speaking, women are simply used as, like, for status amongst other men. Now, I will say that my opinion on that has actually developed, in which I feel like men just use women for resources, and maybe I'll do a video on that since I feel pretty passionately about that these days as well. But at the very least, I feel like a lot of times it's not really that men like women, really want women, but society has set up these expectations that, well, how does a man prove his manhood? It's by getting with a lot of women, or a certain type of woman. And then he uses that to boast to other men, right? So, relating it back to the whole DL thing, a guy could not like a woman and just get a woman simply because of the reasons I just said. He just wants to look good to other men. He doesn't like her, but it's what's expected of men, so that's what he does. And so he gets this woman just to look good to other men, to look good to society, but then in secret, he'll get what he actually wants, which, I have done a video on that concept of, who is it that someone really wants? Is it the person that they, you know, have in private, or the person that they have in public? And, again, it's like, if this is just a cover up thing, then yeah, he's going to get the man that he wants in private. Now, why am I even making a video about this? Why am I concerned? Well, it's mostly because I don't like the fact that for these men that are DL, even if it's not the majority of men like I think it is, honestly, even if it's not, for the men that are, I don't like it because it's hurting women. And it's one thing. Now, I do think that the situation honestly is really sad on this type of man's behalf, but I do think it's different if, like, say you're gay, but that's not something that you like or want to accept, and so it's something that you decide that you're not going to engage in any way. You're not going to get with a man, you're not going to look at men with other men, and you're going to just be with women. Now, while I do think that that's still hurtful to women, because I think that if you're with someone who doesn't really like you, they're not attracted to you or whatever, that person is going to feel that. Um, but at least in that case, now, granted, I'm actually going to backtrack and say that that still makes this bad, actually. This is still bad. But I think it's less bad in the sense that, at least in this case, where the man decides not to engage with other men. And I say this from the perspective of, I've heard that a lot of guys, when they're, out having sex, they're not using protection a lot of the times. So obviously that means more diseases can be spread. And since diseases, infections, like HIV, are more prominent in the gay community, there's a much better chance of him giving that to his girl that he has later down the line if he is engaging with men. If he isn't, then the chances of him giving those types of diseases to his girl goes down. Now, of course, obviously, it doesn't mean that he can't give this girl something, because if he's cheating but he's just cheating with women and the women have something, then that can be the same. But I think we're all pretty aware of, more so what tends to happen in, like, that community. So yeah. um but but that goes into the thing that bothers me the most about it, the fact that when you I guess really just overall, when you have a man who's not really into women, he not only is hurting the woman by, not truly being into her, not giving her 100% and really being attracted to her and making her feel desired and loved like she deserves, like anyone deserves to be in a relationship. Not only does he withhold that from her, therefore, blocking her. I mean, she could get with someone else and really she should, but if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. But not only does that happen, but again, those chances of getting STDs transmitted to her, that you might get through homosexual sex, and she doesn't even know. Like, it's so unfair. It's so messed up. And so here's my thing: if DL men were to be more honest with their preferences, I think it would help everyone. For one thing, women wouldn't. And another thing, too, and I say this just because this is personally how I would feel if this would happen to me, so I know other women must feel like this too. If I had a man and he were to cheat on me, but he cheated on me with another man, like cheating on me with another woman is already bad enough. But cheating on me with another man is like a whole new level of hurt. Because it's like you were like, if you cheat on me with a woman, it's not to say that you didn't use me. It's not to say that you still weren't attracted to me. But if you're not even into women, period, then I now you really clearly use me. Like, there's not even a question that you used me, right? And you clearly aren't attracted to me. Like, there was no chance. There was no even slight attract, like, you really just fully use me. You were not attracted to me. And then I might start making you like, and if you were, then that's also affecting my confidence, because like, wait a minute, if you like men, why would you be attracted to me? Like, are you trying to say that I look like a man? Like, what are you saying? So I just feel like it really can take a hit on a woman's confidence or her self-esteem, just everything, dealing with this man who is not into her really in any way other than using her. And but like I said, if these DL men were more honest with themselves, with everyone, I think it would help, because then other men who like men can more easily find each other, right? It won't be as much, there won't be as big of a stigma attached to it. So they can just find each other. They don't have to be secretive about it. Women don't have to be deceived in that way, at least. They can go and find men who truly are into women, you know? Now, I know that some people may say that they don't want it to be normalized because they don't want gayness to be normalized. My thing with that, though, is if it's happening anyway, like, it's not like because of the way things are right now with there still being a stigma, um there's no gayness, or it's down. No, it's still happening. It's just that it's happening in secret and more people are getting hurt. So it's not like it doesn't exist because it's not out in the open. It's just literally not out in the open. My thing is, put it out in the open so that there's less deception. Because the last thing I want is to get with a man that I think is into me, who likes me, and then I find out he cheating on me with a man. Like, oh my gosh. I really should make that video on men using women for their resources. I really should. But that's not the main point of this video right now. No, my point is that it's just messed up everyone would win. And here's the thing, if a lot of men really do prefer men rather than women, it would help too, because if men are pursuing other men, then women don't have to get harassed as much. There could be less violence against them. And all of the high libido sexual urges, always wanting to have sex all the time, if these men are all on the same page with that, then they can be helping each other out with that. And a woman doesn't have to be like pressured into it. Now, it's one thing if the woman is on that same level, though I've heard that the sex drive of a man is much higher and he thinks about it like near double the amount of times in a day than a woman does. So I think on average you're not going to get that, and I pretty much am talking about averages, right? So it would save a lot of women the agony that they go through dealing with men. And I think too, the fact that they do really want a man and don't want a woman increases the hostility that these men have towards women. And then, it makes them take out that hostility on them through, abuse of all kinds. And to be honest, I still don't really fully understand the hostility that a DL man could have against a woman. Like, I don't know if it's a jealousy thing, like he's jealous because they both want the same thing, or if it's like he wishes that he was in her position, like he wants to be pursued or whatever, or he wants what he thinks is an easier life, which is definitely not necessarily the case, which I've done a video on. I don't know what that hostility is. I don't get it. Maybe it's just pure frustration of not her not being what he really wants, and him like you know I mean, ultimately it is a him problem and not a her problem, and he's just projecting. But again, that's a big part of the reason why I feel like, listen, the secret needs to come out. And the whole concept of like, oh well, it could be dangerous for him to come out because of where he lives or his family situation, blah, 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 whatever. Okay, I get that. But again, my thing is stop hurting women. These women, it would be one thing if the woman knew that he liked men and she still agreed to be with him, whether because she thinks maybe he's bisexual or she don't care for whatever reason. That would be different. But a lot of these women, they don't know, and they're being played. And again, it's gonna mess them up, I think, more times than not, mentally. And it's like, we don't care about that. We don't care about what this innocent party is gonna have to go through as a result of somebody else's deception, right? Because while no, I don't think that something should happen to someone just because of their preferences or whatever, I definitely do not think that. If something were to happen, at least it would be, and honestly, even saying this sounds messed up, but still, they would be the ones that, like, it was their problem. Well, not problem in the sense that it's not something that they're comfortable with and it's something that could result in something bad. That's what I mean by problem. But it's their, situation, I'll say. And if something happens to them as a result of their own situation, it's a result of their own situation. Like, I don't think having something happen to you because of someone else's situation is fair. And I know the argument could be made, well, but like when you look at it, if he gets killed versus she, quote unquote, just gets her feelings hurt, then, that's not as bad or whatever. Like some people may make that argument. But my thing is, again, if he's messing around with dudes anyway, there's still the possibility of people finding out. Like, you could just stay single. And if I don't know, like, if it's a question of, like, well, why don't you have a girlfriend? I don't know. I don't like the fact that women are getting hurt in these situations, whether it be physically, mentally, both. I don't like it. I don't like the way that women are being hurt. If you're a man who likes men, living your truth. It is what it is, right? But and you're doing it anyway. Like if you're doing it anyway, then so it's whatever. But I'm just saying, like, stop involving women. Stop hurting women. These women that don't know, who are going to be psychologically messed up, who dedicate years of their lives to a man who's not feeling them. And the argument could be made, oh, well, the woman should take responsibility. If she doesn't feel loved, then she should get out of that relationship. And I do agree that if a woman doesn't feel that she's being treated the way that she should be treated, then she should get out of that relationship. I actually do think that that's the case. However, she still doesn't deserve to be gaslit, lied to, deceived, etc. Just because this man said that he liked her, loved her, whatever, and really just wanted to use her. And I mean, I'll be honest, I think at least one guy that I somewhat dealt with, I kind of feel like that might have been what he was on, which is another reason why I even more so take it a little bit more personally, because I feel like that low key was, I think he was attempting to do that with me. It didn't happen because I caught an attitude, but still, just thinking if that really is the case, if that is what he was doing, because it might not have been. He might have just been a narcissist or just, you know, a terrible person in general. I don't know. It might not even have been that. But thinking that that possibly was the case and the way that that makes me feel, nah, that's not cool. I don't like that. I don't subscribe to that. I'm not down for that. And I don't like it. So I wanted to comment on it. And it's how I feel. And no one's changing my mind as far as me feeling like DL men need to stop hurting women. Like, I'm so tired of women being hurt by men. I'm so tired. But hey, that's for another video. For now, that's pretty much what I wanted to say in this one. I'm hoping that I didn't leave out any points that I feel like I would have wanted to mention. I guess, you know what? There is one other point that I want to mention. And it's when a DL man decides that he wants to hide his gayness so much that he marries a woman and then gets her pregnant and has children. Because when I think about, especially a daughter, right? The daughter of a DL man, if he's in a relationship and he's not happy because he's with a woman and therefore he's not living his truth, and then not only does he have a child, which I could see as being like a reminder of this facade of a life that he's making, but if he then in turn has a daughter of all things, like another woman who, I swear, I mean, maybe it's not all of them, but I swear they be resenting girls and women so much. To have a daughter on top of that, I've already talked about how I feel like, how I feel it's so important for a father to be in his children's lives. especially a daughter. So when you come in with this hostility towards, you know, females, and then you have this little girl who she really needs like the love, attention, affirmations of her father, and she's really not getting them, especially because of his issues. And the only reason she was even brought into the world is because of his choice to get a woman that he's not even into pregnant. Yeah, no. I, I'm just no. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could see where it would have bad effects for a son too, but for the girl, again, that hostility getting put on her for being, a female, in addition to, being a reminder of this facade of a life that he's leading. Nah, that's no, no, no. But anyway, yeah, I just thought of that last second. There's probably some other stuff that if I was thinking about it, possibly I could comment on, but I think those are my main points. So, in any case, thank you for listening. Hopefully, I didn't offend anyone. If I did, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I feel how I feel, so I don't know, depending on what you're offended by, I'm sorry. But either way, thank you for listening. If you have anything that you want to add to the conversation, then feel free. But hey, I said what I said, and that's it. So if you have a comment, feel free to leave it. I actually be respectful. If you feel like I wasn't even respectful, well, I mean, that's fair. But, still, I'm open to a conversation if you'd like to have one. So that's that. But, yep, thank you for listening.